just how pleased and proud I am. There could not be a better alignment with the mission at Texas Parks and Wildlife and what you do here at Campfire USA and what you do here, Rebecca, with the Balcones Council. We could not be more pleased about the important work that you engage in to immerse children in nature and to help them develop and inculcate leadership skills and values that will undoubtedly serve them well in life and through their professional development. And thank you for all the good work you're doing and the good that we've had a chance to be a part of. So, round of applause. Right after the last legislative session, which was challenging, I was asked to give a speech in Houston, and still sort of recovering from that experience. I entitled my talk, The Call of the Wild. Is anybody listening? And I know that Rebecca and others can sometimes empathize with that in the context of all that's going on in our world. Where does this fit for people? Where is it in their context and kin and perspective? And do they care about it? Here's the good news. And my friend George Bristol, the parent, by the way, of an employee, Jennifer, the one who rescued the video, knows this firsthand from the many attitudinal surveys that he has conducted across the state, helping to assess the public's attitudes about our lands and waters and fish and wildlife and parks and getting children into nature. And here's good news. Every single attitudinal survey that we see shows beyond any reasonable doubt all Texans, irrespective of geography, place, income, ethnicity, background, political persuasion, absolutely support the kind of work and the outcomes that organizations like Campfire, like Explore Austin, like Ducks Unlimited, like the Texas Parks and Wildlife are carrying out each and every day. Here's the latest results from the statewide study that George and the Center or the Coalition for Conservation carried out. In a comprehensive study of voters all across the state. Results were pretty extraordinary. 80% of folks said that they absolutely believe a clean environment and a strong economy can be achieved without having to choose one over the other. 83% said that unless we protect Texas' natural areas, we will lose the very things that make Texas a special place in which to live. 93% registered voters said that it was important to protect Texas fish and wildlife. 99% said that they agreed that despite the economic downturn, they believe that we each have a personal responsibility to protect the state's lands and waters and fish and wildlife and parks. 99%. You can't get 99% of people in Texas to agree that the sun came up in the east. So, but I do think there's a reason for it. And I think as Texans, we have always been united around our strong sense of place. It's a love affair that we have with wide open places and vast spaces. It's part of our mythology, our identity, our culture, who we are as Texans, and what we love about our home ground. It's that sense of fulfillment. It's that sense of pride. It's that sense of contentment when we have that rare, quiet moment of repose, as Wallace Stegner said, when we just hiked the top of Enchanted Rock and had a chance to look across the hill country vistas, when we're standing at the depths of Paladura Canyon and looking up at those extraordinary sheer and colorful rock faces known as Fortress Cliffs. It's a feeling that we get when you have that rare walk on a deserted reach, Padre Island, and look out at the vastness of the Gulf of Mexico. It's an extraordinary sentiment. Rebecca quoted Tennyson, so I'll quote Yates. And I think he said it best in a poem in which he said, "Have not all people had their first unity from a mythology that marries them to rock and hill. And ladies and gentlemen, our rocks, your hills, the kind of rocks and hills that Rebecca and her team endeavor to get children introduced to each and every day are absolutely some of the most special on earth, just from a pure biological perspective. We host here in Texas more birds, more reptiles, more butterflies. We have the second most number of species of plants and mammals. We have the third highest rate of endemism. And if you look at the total number of species, we are second only to, and I'll say this sort of to California. So we're proud of that. It's a nature worth stewarding, and I want to tell you, it's a nature worth sharing. And this speaks to the very essence of why we are here today and why this fine organization is doing what it is. Because here's the deal, and this is the cold, hard, and immutable truth. Clear-eyed reality. Every single attitudinal survey, every single bit of social research tells us the same thing. Kids today are the most overscheduled, the least active, the least physically fit, and the most disconnected to nature of any single other generation that came before them. And it's not hard to see why. It's obvious. Today, 85% of us live in 9 major metropolitan areas, seemingly far removed from the rocks and hills that define us and our natural heritage. By the way, we've been an urban state, though, for 60 years. So it's not as if we haven't seen this coming. Rebecca alluded to this. Recent studies show that adults and children today spend 90% or more of their time indoors. Our tagline at Parks and Wildlife is "Life's better outside." We're going to have to keep working on that. You all remember all of the hullabaloo that came out when Richard Louv published his groundbreaking book about nature deficit disorder, Last Child in the Woods. Remember it? It was startling. Kids, their discretionary time, spend 48 hours a week using electronic media, games and computers and so forth. 48 hours. We were shocked. 4 years later, they now spend 52 hours a week on electronic media. And I've got to tell you, as your director of Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, that saddens me beyond measure. So today, over lunch, we're here to advance a concept that is hard to find fault with. It's hard to quibble with. And that's the very, very simple truth that a children that is introduced to nature, that's immersed in the outdoors, we believe